I belong to you.
I belong to you.
Do just what you want. You're the one I trust.
What's it into an area? Keo, Zamora!
And I'll always be around when you need some love and baby. No one else.
Let you down. All my melodies,
Hey guys, I'm Si and welcome to the Andy Campbell Championship Show. Only on Ace Podcast Nation. This is episode number 60 and it is a special fans edition as we look back at the championship season and we speak to some fans from different clubs and of course the playoff final as well. Big shout out to Martin and Black Diamond Sports for all their support with the show. Black Diamond Sports is a global sports agency representing sports stars from around the world. For more information, visit their social media pages, the links to which are in the description and the closing credits. And as well as that, you can visit their brand new website, which was launched today, I think, which is www.bdsportsint.com. Visit that. And of course, we also have our sponsors for the show, which is Bespoke Financial, and here's a very quick word from them.
My mummy and daddy have been talking about life insurance. It sounds like something to protect my brother and me, but I don't really understand. Then my auntie Louise told mummy about Bespoke Financial Teesside. She said they're a local company who helped her with her life insurance. Mummy got in touch, and because they're based locally, a man called Darren was able to come to our house. He was really friendly. Darren stayed for a cup of tea and made it all really easy to understand. He said that life insurance will protect our home and family if anything bad were to happen. Like if mummy or daddy got sick, then we'd get enough money to take care of us and our house would be paid for so it wouldn't get taken away. After an hour, Darren said goodbye and mummy and daddy seemed a lot happier. Once it was all sorted, we could all relax and watch a film together as a family. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, big thanks to Bespoke Financial. They specialise in life insurance, critical illness, income protection, mortgages and sports cover. So you can check out the links to their websites and social media pages again in the description and the links below. So, first of all this evening joining me is the speed demon, the goal collector, ex-Cardiff City and Middlesbrough striker, Mr. Andy Campbell. How goes it, my friend?
Hello, mate. Super excited for this. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, and threw some ideas around, and yeah, I can't believe it's happening. But yeah, really excited to see other people's opinions on the championship, and basically just listen to what it's like to be a fan of different clubs, because we've all been through the mill, I think, during our life as a football fan. But sometimes it's nice to. Sometimes it makes you feel better when you hear some more heart if it was someone else. Yeah,
the thing is, mate, as well, is like no matter how fair and impartial and whatever you want to be, the fact is I'm a Cardiff City fan, and the fact is you're a Boro fan who played for Cardiff City. So no matter how fair and impartial and whatever we're going to try and be and give credit where it's due to whoever it may be, is we're always going to lean in certain directions. It's just that's just the way football is, isn't it?
Natural, yeah. Yeah,
So,
well, you don't have a bad word to say about your team, do you? You know, you might have a grumble on a Saturday and say that you hate your team, but then by the time you wake up the next morning, it's all forgotten about. You love your team, and you'd run through a brick wall for your football club and supporters, and you know, I mean, that's the thing I like. That deep down, we all have our negative comments, but we all love our teams.
spot on, mate. So, with that said, we'll bring in our first guest, which is Mr. Mark Sherwood, Boro fan, incidentally. So I'll leave you two to talk for 10 minutes, and I'll go and make myself a cup of tea, and then we'll go from there. Welcome, Mark. You right, buddy?
Evening,
Hello,
guys.
Mark.
Yeah.
How are
Evening,
you?
guys. Yeah, I'm all right. Turbulent
Good lad.
week, but
Yeah,
not too bad.
you've had a tough week, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've had a couple of, and like I'm good friends with Mark, and I know Mark's had a rough time with his youngest daughter's been in hospital this week, but she's out now. She's out now, mate, isn't she?
Yeah, she came home earlier on this evening, so all's good.
Oh, well. Good lad. Well, great to have you on. You know, it's a new show, a new idea that we had, mate, and basically we just want to pick your brains to see what you think, what your opinion is about being a football fan. So, what's your first? Well, I still want to start. What's your first recollection of being a football fan or football in general?
Well, I always remember the 1988 World Cup final. The World Cup. I always remember Marco van Basten's goal, and I think Ruud Gullit scored in the same game against the Russians. Was it?
Got a header, yeah.
And, just the World Cup. Going to school, can't wait to get home from school and just watching the football. And that's my first real bit of taste of football. I always remember that.
Is it the same now though, Mark? Is football the same now? Is it as enjoyable now than it was then back in 1988 to watch?
Nah, football. You know yourself, Andy. Football's changed massively over the years, and I think it will keep changing and changing as time goes on. Rules change every season, near enough. You can't touch a player now. You touch a player now, you're getting a card, aren't you? It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's going to be a no-contact sport soon.
And I think with VAR coming involved as well, I think it's ruined it though. Cause somebody had a debate on social media. I'm sure it was Facebook, but I might be wrong. And they were on about the amount of goals years ago, which would have been cancelled out if VAR was involved. And for me, I think there was a goal last night. Olympiacos got ruled out because of. It was his head more than his body. His legs were 5 meters behind his head, and I just think it's just a bit of a mess. And I agree with you. You know, these top players, and our class was world class. The Ruud Gullits, the Van Basten, the Maradonas, etc. It was lucky to watch. I'm not sure they'd even be able to cope now because of what's going on.
No, it's too many changes. The game's just like I said. The game now it's just changed. It's on its head.
So, go on. I was just going to ask you, Mark. What if I asked you to pick one memory of this season? What's the first thing which comes to your mind?
It's not many good ones.
We've been terrible. It's not getting Neil Warnock in to save us.
Well, the saviour.
Yeah.
Who's been the best player then for Boro? I watched a little bit of Boro, but not a great deal. Who's been the standout players? I know Paddy McNair had a half-tidy season.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there is many, to be fair, because we've been terrible. The season's been a no starter for me from the first whistle to the last.
So why do you think that is, though, Mark? Then because obviously I was excited. I know I spoke to you at the start of the season when we went and watched a couple of games, and all the fans were excited about the transition, about this project. So why has it been a letdown then?
I don't know. The attacking football, Jonathan Woodgate said he was going to play. I mean, I think we played Luton Town first game of the season. It was on Sky. 3-3. We were winning that game, and we're all excited. Oh, this is going to be our season. We're going to go up, keep playing like that, score loads of goals, and then it just fell apart after that. So I don't know.
I think from a fan's point of view, I think it was false promises as well. You know, that we were guaranteed, well, not guaranteed. We were told and promised this kind of all attacking, no holds barred football, and it didn't really happen. Like you say, it happened at Luton.
It was all negative, Andy, weren't it?
Yeah, and I remember the first Friday after the first game, and Si, well, we've spoken about this. Si told me how excited I was after the show because if everything was just going the right way, and I'd have preferred to get beat 4-3. and go for it and score goals, and the way that things have been happening, and it's so frustrating. And listen, we're not the only football club this season, by the way, who's massively underachieved. There's probably a 12 to 15 club list who've underachieved, and but it's just heartbreaking being a Boro fan at the minute, I think.
Yeah, I don't know where we go, to be honest. I mean, it's good having Neil Warnock.
So what's your thoughts on him long term then, Mark?
Right, I think, looking at the bigger picture, he signed a 12-month contract, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's going to bring his own. He's going to bring his own players in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens next season? Well, we're going to change again. I think you've got to look at a bigger picture, and we should have gone down a different route, long term.
Well, me and Si spoke about this last week. I think we might have even mentioned it on Monday that my concern is a long term longevity of the football club. That
You've got.
And it's Neil's age. I love Neil a bit. I've met him. I've not worked under him, but I've worked closely with him, as in every time I've gone to the club at Cardiff and seen him and spoke to him, and he's amazing at what he does. But I would have loved to see him get a 2-year deal, but I'm not sure if that's age dependent, because
totally agree.
What can you achieve in a year, Si? That when he came to Cardiff, it was a long term plan, and the long term plan was the Premier League, and he achieved that in a very short space of time. And I'm just a little bit disappointed. A little bit. I think it's the unknown, because he might stay for 2-3 years. He might work till he's 90 years old.
Do we?
He's that kind of man.
Has he just come in to steady the ship? Get some more fans back on side, because we, as a football club, we have lost a lot of fans. You go to the games now and you see more red seats than fans.
So how important are fans? How important are the fans in Mark?
Massively.
Especially in this area. Then how important is the fans to this area?
Yeah, massively. Football needs fans, Andy. Yourself. You run out onto a pitch. You want to see full stadiums bouncing and rocking.
I think I was really lucky, Mark. That when I played, especially when I played in Middlesbrough, it was 38,000 all-seater stadium, full attendance, and I think I took it for granted a little bit. That now I go back as a fan, and like you say, I sit there, I look around, and I think you try and guess the attendance of 12, 13, 14,000, and you think,
back in the day when
how they make the money, B, how the players responding to it. It's a tough one,
When you look at the Bundesliga, you look every time they're on Sky, the games, the stadiums are chocker. The Rams, because the tickets are near enough cheap, aren't they? It's a fortune now. If you want to go take your family to a football match, you're looking at £100 if you've got like a couple of kids. It's scandalous, and I think that's the attendance are dropping.
I think that's across the board, though, Mark. I think the FA or the EFL had this plan of capping wages. Capping
I think they
prices.
have done it in League 1 and 2, haven't they?
But they have today. They've capped wages, but the prices as well. Because one of my friends went to watch QPR Middlesbrough last year, and he paid something like £48 for a ticket, and his view was restricted. I don't know if anyone was watching the beat at Loftus Road, but if you sit upstairs at Loftus Road at the top end of behind the goal, every time the ball's in the air, you can't see it. And listen, it's quite funny because. You know what I mean? You restricted view, but you're paying top dollar for a ticket. It's a Premier League money. You know what I mean? It's not really fair.
You're paying good money, Andy.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's amazing. So let's go back to Middlesbrough then. So what's your highlight? Apart from watching me play, what's your highlight of being a Middlesbrough fan?
I was going to say when you scored that goal against Man U.
Hey, don't. That's standard behaviour.
There's been a few. I mean, winning our first cup. Getting in Europe, but for me, the one guy put Middlesbrough on the map, and that was Brian Robson. For me, I don't think we'll ever see them years again at Middlesbrough. That season was unbelievable. There was ups and downs. Two cup finals. We got relegated. I mean, did we call the game off at Blackburn? We called the game off at Blackburn, didn't we?
We did.
3 points deducted. I think even if we played the kids, we would have stayed up, because if we'd have stayed up that year, the rumours were flying around Teesside. There was World Cup players coming to sign, even though we had like World Cup players.
All for one man, though. You just said it there. I do feel
Brian
sorry for
Robson.
Steve, I do feel sorry for Steve Gibson that he doesn't get the credit sometimes that he deserves, but. If it wasn't for Brian Robson, I totally agree. You know what I mean? Brian Robson
he put us on the map.
Made this football club. Totally agree.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
100%, mate. Yeah.
Totally agree.
Mark, final question then. Out of the current Middlesbrough squad, if you had a complete clean slate and carte blanche, who would you keep?
Who would I keep? Tavernier.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, he's got energy.
He's
good
decent.
Player, yeah.
Yeah. Would I keep Fry? I don't know if I'd keep Fry. Is he good enough? Has he proven himself? The two strikers. I mean, we've been lacking goals for a couple of seasons now, but I think Warnock could get the best out of them two. Zonga and Fletcher.
Cream always rises for me, Mark, and I look at those two players in particular. Is that they're not bad footballers. Yeah. They've got good track records of scoring goals. So someone's got to get a tune out of them sooner, especially Brits. Brits are good football and score goals everywhere.
Well, look at him when he was at Forest. He was banging him in for fun, Andy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And we've got a Forest fan on, and you know what I mean. And listen, they've had some amazing centre forwards, and sometimes, especially the last couple of years, and I'm a little bit jealous of teams like that because centre forwards are why we go and watch football sometimes to see loads of goals, and unfortunately we haven't got it.
But Warnock could get the best out of these two next season, hopefully. Anyway,
spot on. Well, brilliant, Mark. Really appreciate you coming on. I know you were nervous, mate, but you did it. You handled yourself really well, mate. So you should be proud of yourself.
I've had a lot on my plate, Andy. So pleasure, pleasure, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers
now.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah. So that's the Boro point of view, mate. It's interesting.
It's hard, mate. It's hard though side to be positive when. And I even say that now, you know, we said it last week about the Neil Warnock factor is he's come in to save the club, but you've still got the negative side of it. It's a 1-year contract, apparently, allegedly. You know, sometimes you just want a few answers, don't you?
Yeah. That's it, mate. So we mentioned Forest then, so we'll go straight into our next guest, which is Gary Clark, who's a Forest fan. And we'll bring him in now. Evening, Gary. You right, buddy? No.
You alright, Gary?
Oh, what? 2 secs. You muted, mate. He's muted.
He's muted himself. He looks like he's frozen.
Yeah.
Is he frozen?
I'll mute him and I'll send him a message now. But so yeah, it's one of them things, mate, isn't it? It's like with Boro, there's very little to be positive about this season.
But the thing is also, you could say that, listen, we could have had a Stoke City fan on and that would have been exactly the same, but then we could have had a Barnsley fan on and them to stay up last game of the season. Is that a positive? People say they shouldn't be celebrating the way they did, and everything's a game of opinions.
Yeah, spot on, mate. And I would love to have heard a Stoke point of view. I'm quite looking forward now to hearing Gary's point of view because obviously Forest had a terrible finish to the season.
Yeah, really disappointing. Really disappointing.
So we'll get him back in now. Obviously, we're going to talk about the playoff final in a minute, and we'll also cover some any other business. See, just it's the joys of live broadcasting and trying to add people.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Well, the couple of comments there, like a couple of Gaz in the YouTube chat said he likes this concept, like something different.
Get people involved. Listen, we've got some good ideas coming up, especially for the Friday show. Trying to mix it up, try and keep it relevant for people who are watching. You know what I mean? I see this as because listen, we've had our say on different things, and we can have our fors and against because. Like Gary's going to talk about the negatives of Nottingham Forest. Listen, we haven't got much positives to say, and I'd like to see some positives as well because it's a really good start to the season, but a horrific end. So it'd be nice to hear from both sides, really.
Yeah, and good comment there from James. He says about Stoke. I would assume he's referring to. They came very close to doing what Norwich, Sunderland, Charlton, Portsmouth, and all them have done before, whereby they could have easily gone down. And it was because they went through. Did they have 3 managers throughout the season, Stoke?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Listen, I do fear for teams like that because obviously Norwich did it, Man City did it, Sunderland did it, and look where Sunderland are now. And Sunderland, because of COVID-19, they've now got themselves stuck in a situation where they're in League One. They're not able to breach the spending powers because they're all being given a wage cap. So, God knows, you know what I mean. And the joke today was that Accrington Stanley are allowed to spend the same amount of wages as Sunderland, and it's just crazy. And just I listen, whoever's making these decisions needs to come on TV and explain, because it's just an absolute joke.
Well, I mentioned on Monday, mate, but just going back to VAR, just while we wait for Gary to come back in, is I just think it's so arrogant of the Premier League that they're not following the rules that have been set out by the people who've designed the system, the people who've spoken about the system, and then obviously everywhere else in Europe except the Premier League are doing it in a certain way. Like I think it's embarrassing, mate.
But my concern, Si, is some league seasons have started already for next season, and they've got VAR in place. So if we start the next season with a different thing in place, how's that going to affect what's already happening in other countries? Because we should all be doing what UEFA are telling us, and UEFA are telling us that any kind of body part offside is offside. So if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. But we can't change it just for the Premier League or Serie A or the Champions League or the World Cup or the Euros.
Oh, mate, the Premier League, the arrogance of the organisation, which is the Premier League, is just incredible, mate.
Yeah, it drives you mad.
Okay, let's try and bring in Gary, the Forest fan. Hi, Gary.
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's a bit better.
Hiya, Gary. How are we doing?
There you go.
You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You good, thanks.
Good, yeah, sound, yeah. So how are you feeling, Gary, after, I'll call it a turbulent season? I've been a Nottingham Forest fan because it was such a tough ending.
Yeah, I've been talking to a few of my mates. If we'd have started off slowly and would have been, say, mid-table, and then we'd come later on and finish where we did, everybody would say, what a good season. But to be in the playoffs, all except for 2 days, and then to crash out with 17 minutes to go, it just left the old City flat. It was just unbelievable. I think we thought we was already in it. We thought we was already there.
So who'd you blame then? Who'd you blame then for not achieving? Whose fault was it? Was it players, manager, owners? Whose is it?
No, I don't blame the owners. Obviously, I think you've got to put the blame down to the players at the end.
What about tactics wise from the manager last game of the season? So he's going into the last game of the season knowing that he didn't really need to go for the game. If he'd have got beat 1-0, he probably would have stayed in the playoffs. So what do you say about that?
I know. I'm glad they gave the manager another year at least.
I think he's very good.
Tactics, questionable, especially towards the end. The last few games, playing one up front, I don't like that, especially at home. Going to Barnsley, changed it around. Went looking for a point because that's what we wanted. And then against Stoke, I didn't actually see the game live. I was ill that week. I listened to it on the radio. But I think the real fault was there. We should really have still Swansea second half was all over. I mean, Swansea good first half, really beaten, and then we went to the last 2 games. They were our bankers. We thought we were guaranteed at least one win. Yeah, and we didn't come. We didn't deliver, did we?
It's interesting, it's interesting because I watched
goals in the last few.
I watched a couple of your games, and I watched the Swansea game in particular because that was a Sunday game, and like you say, it was very good, very strong performance. I thought Lewis Grabban was excellent. I think he's a standout player in Championship for me, centre forward wise. I think he's absolutely excellent. So for him to lead the line for Nottingham Forest, the future's got to be bright, surely.
Yeah.
Gary, who stood out for you?
You're breaking up again. Yeah, Grabban. Yeah, well, Grabban, he scored 20 goals. A player had scored 20 goals at Forest since I think it was Marlon Harwood and Dave Johnson. He played up front on his own, and he's basically carried us with the goals on his own. So he's a workhorse up front as well. But we should really find another class centre forward in the transfer window in January. We didn't sign enough strong players. We signed Costa, who was already injured. Had prospects to be honest in games, and it's hard to get players in that league as well. It's all in them, we go out to these names started about. It's dead hard to get these players. And a goal scorer, I think, would have gone up. Just shy of 2 players. I think season too early anyway. We're shy of 2 players, but let's hope we can hold us players some of them for next season.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think you will. To be fair,
I think we're all the players. I think it was a bit too early for. We're punching above our weight this season.
Yeah,
and some of the results we got didn't mirror the games.
But I think that's my concern as well, though, Gary. That me and Si had a conversation about Cardiff and other teams. That it's nice to get in the playoffs. It's nice to have the opportunity to go up, but at the same time, some teams aren't ready financially and physically ready players wise. So it's a difficult one sometimes. But going back to Nottingham Forest, Gary, what's your life highlight from being a Nottingham Forest fan? Because there's been plenty.
I think you broke up. So Gary, what's your biggest memory as being a Forest fan?
I'm losing you.
Okay. The joys of live broadcasting, and you can't do much about that.
There's been loads of side, hasn't there? You know, I mean, Nottingham Forest, they won the Champions League, the European Cup, Champions League, won titles. Brian Clough, Nigel Clough, Stuart Pearce. I remember going to the game with my dad once, where we went to the City Ground to watch Middlesbrough against Nottingham Forest, and Stuart Pearce played. I think Nigel Jemson scored the winner, and it was just a lovely occasion to go and watch a game, full house at the City Ground. But it was always a horrible place to go because you knew you wouldn't get a positive result because they were a really, really strong side.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Forest for me, like when I was younger, like in primary school age, like I remember the FA Cup runs that Forest used to have, and like kids in Cardiff used to support Liverpool, Forest, Everton. It wasn't the same as what it is now. Like, well, I'll just bring Gary back in now, see how his connection is, and then we'll go from there. We can't be helped. The joys of life. All right, Gary. What we were just asking you to finish off was your kind of favourite memory as a Forest fan over the years. No, you got no sound. Nightmare. The video's crystal clear and there's no sound. Can't hear you, guy. Oh, that's frustrating. Damn. Internet, mate, isn't it? There's nothing you could do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It is one of them things, isn't it? But yeah, going back to what I was saying, like Forest, when I was a nipper, it was just unbelievable, mate. They were such a good side, and even when I was like before I really got into football, they were probably even better again. Like, you know,
I think it was the players more than anything. That Mark mentioned Brian Robson, the Brian Robson factor, but the Nottingham Forest factor was Brian Clough. You know, that he wore his green jumper. They got the semi-finals, finals, League Cup, FA Cup. You know, listen, there was such a strong outfit, and a really good club.
See if we can hear you now, Gar. Gar, favourite Forest memory over the years? No, it's not. Right, we'll have to leave. We'll have to leave Gary for now, unfortunately. But you know, we'll be doing more similar shows like this to see what's happening, see what's what, and I'm sure we'll have more of these types of shows. So what we'll do then in the meantime, before we have our Cardiff fan on a bit later on in about 10-15 minutes, is we've got any other business with. First of all, I know you wanted to talk about the Aberdeen players testing positive to COVID, mate.
Yeah, well, I seen. Obviously, this happened a couple of days ago. The story came out a couple of days ago. 2 players tested positive for COVID, and I think 7 or 8 other players had to self-isolate for 2 weeks, which is obviously normal practice. And the SFA decided that they weren't going to cancel the game tomorrow, which is just absolute madness, because they were blaming the players because they say the club's done everything they can, so they're blaming the players of how they contracted this disease outside of going to training and going to work. Well, the problem I've got with this side is you're allowed to go to the shops. Your wife, your girlfriend, your kids are allowed to go out and do what they want. and if you get it from them, that's still you doing the right thing. This is madness, because people can be judged by contracting this horrible disease and saying they're doing something wrong, because not everybody's doing something wrong. They could have caught it at the club the day before. Nobody knows where they're catching these things from, and it just drives you mad. But then the rightful decision came through that the St Johnstone game tomorrow was cancelled, and St Johnstone now are complaining about it and saying they should be given the 3 points. It's absolute madness. Listen, we're going through a pandemic, and a horrible one at that, and a little bit of understanding, a little bit of compassion, and let's just move on. And if anybody gets COVID-19, the games should certainly be cancelled, because it could be the best player in your team, it could be the worst player in your team, but everyone's going to be affected by it, because mentally, physically, they're going to be affected by it. So it just doesn't make sense to me. We've been in this too long to just think it's over now. So I don't want to spend too much time going on about it, but with governing bodies in football thinking that they're going to change the rules, ain't happening.
Don't even get me started. Right, I'm going to go back to Gary very quickly, because he's got a bit of a better signal now, so we're going to see if we can get him on. So Gary, what we were asking you before the internet thwarted us was your favourite memory as a Forest fan over the years.
Oh, there's loads of them. It's too many to tell. I can remember Wembley for the first time in 1978. Played Liverpool 0-0, I believe. Chris Woods kept Liverpool out of the old game. And then my parents took me up to the replay at Old Trafford, and we beat 1-0 when John Away just fell inside the box. John Robson scored the winning goal. That was probably the first great memory of Forest winning silverware at my age. I think I was about 13 at the time. So it's just because of them two games, Wembley and Old Trafford, was fantastic. So that was the start of the great era. Went on to win the league, the European Cups, everything basically, everything except the FA Cup. Obviously got to the final against Tottenham. He built about three great stars. That's 20 years in Doldrums now, but
Forest has been very, very successful, big club over the years, and for me, much like Leeds, I'd like to see them back in the, back in the Premier League, to where they belong.
Sad, but it's those names as well, though, isn't it? Those names that Gary just mentioned: Chris Woods, John Robertson, huge names in football. Huge names.
Right, unfortunately, Gary, we're going to have to leave it there, mate, because you're breaking up a lot. But we'll get you back on, mate, 100%, and we'll have a proper chat in detail. Thanks for joining us, mate, and appreciate your time.
Cheers, Gary.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate, mate. So, going back to the Aberdeen players, mate, I don't really think St John, I don't see how... Look, if St Johnstone are annoyed by the fact that the game's being off, it's going to be frustrating, I think, because look, the player safety's got, and the staff safety, we talked about this before when they were first on about having games come back and all that sort of stuff, is you can't get these games on, and the most important thing is it has to be that the players, the staff, the referees, everyone is safe. If you've got, how many players was it of Aberdeen?
Two with COVID, and then something like 7 or 8 had to be self-isolated.
There's no way you can keep all those people safe. And
well, you've just said it there,
ahead,
you just said it there for me. You just said it there. What's the most important thing here? Yes, we want football back, but surely people's health is paramount, and that's across the board, across the world. Never mind football. So we all wanted football back, but we want it back in the right manner, and we want it back safe, and that's it. What's the point of bringing? Listen, I don't like football without any fans, but I'd rather have football with no fans than nothing at all. And if they bring fans back, how many more players, fans, officials, police, ambulance, stewards are going to get it? It's just going to be never ending, and we're all going to get locked down again. Football will be cancelled, as will plenty of other sports, and and it doesn't make sense to me. So for me, just have the understanding, because how would St Johnstone feel next week if some of their players got it and they have to have a game called off? So now they're setting themselves up for a big fall because the big hoo-ha they've made.
I can't even start getting into like people who are like willing to risk health and stuff because they think they know better than the World Health Organization, and there's a few of them around, I've got to say. But there we go. I'm not even getting into this. The other bit, which I found really funny, the other bit of any other business which you brought to my attention was Adama Traore has been being baby oiled before games.
Listen.
So opposing players can't grab him. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, it was his arms, so he had his arms baby oiled, and if anybody knows how slippery anyway Adama Traore can be, you know what I mean. Now he's gone even tenfold, because the way that he plays, the only way that people can stop him is probably by grabbing hold of him. So now when they can't grab hold of him, and it happened last night that they couldn't get anywhere near him because of this, I'm not sure how people feel. Is it gamesmanship? Is it cheating? Is it okay? Is it fair? Is he just playing to his strengths? He's not breaking any laws. So let's start there. But at the same time, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it, because I don't know. I'm just not sure with it. I do think it's funny though. I think it's a really, really good idea from whoever's done. If it's Nuno, the manager, then hat off to him, because if it's helped them get a win and then put them through the next round against Seville, then fantastic. Because on another point, you know, that Wolves being in the quarterfinals of Europa League is a huge achievement to be there with some of them teams, Man United, etc. So, you know what I mean? He needs to take some credit for that.
Yeah, it's look, Nuno is not my favourite guy. I think he's a quality manager.
I don't think he's anyone's favourite guy, to be honest. I don't think he's anyone's.
He rubs people up the wrong way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I've spoken to quite a few professional sportsmen from all different sports over the last year or so, and they all agree on one thing: is that professionals will do everything they can to win, and they will push the boundaries of what's cheating and what's not.
Yeah.
Whether that is footballers exaggerating for penalties, or all this sort of type of stuff, doesn't necessarily mean they're a cheat. It can be, it's a grey area, shall we say?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they make some rule about it though. Now that he shouldn't have said anything. He should have.
Yeah, they should just done it. They should just. Yeah, I agree. They should have just. It shouldn't have been done that open. They should have just done it in the changing room, and it happened, and no one would have known any different. So it's a strange one that they let it come out, because they could have used it to their strength and use it as an armour. So for me, so. Yeah,
it's one of them things, I suppose, isn't it? No, as far as I'm aware, no further movement on the Bristol and Birmingham jobs yet, is there, mate?
No, Karanka's got the Birmingham City job. So Aitor's gone in there. I think it's a better job for Birmingham City than for Aitor Karanka. I think Birmingham City done really well to get him there. So he's obviously been given some kind of promise that he's going to spend a little bit of money, because is he going to get all of the Jude Bellingham money? Is he going to be able to spend wisely? Because it's a big job for the clubs that he's been at previously, and it's going to be a tough division anyway, the Championship. So he's going to be under a little bit of pressure, because there's high expectation when a manager of his experience comes in.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's be interesting how he gets on. I did what I said to you before. I did wonder whether Nuno was going to go back to Boro when they said obviously Warnock wasn't going to be there for the whole, for the whole next season, should we say? Sorry, not the whole of next season. I gave my my views on Warnock last week. I am a bit confused about where Boro are going, really, because are they building for the future? Because otherwise, if his target for next year in his contract, they'll have targets, won't they? If his target is to stay up, then in my opinion, his appointment is wholly pointless.
Well, I think I mentioned this last week, that if we're going to if the word and the plan is consolidation and steadying the ship, so to speak, then we've wasted 2 seasons instead of wasting 1. So we might as well have potentially got relegated in the summer and built forward for next season, because it'll be a step backwards, but sometimes 1 step back and 2 steps forward. That, you know what I mean? Sometimes you've just got to look at the bigger picture. You know what I mean? That are we wasting more money by consolidating again? If that's what we're doing, are we going to spend some more money? Is there going to be a big pot of money available? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Indeed. So we're going to bring Cardiff fan Matthew in now in a second. Then we'll talk about the playoff final to finish and answer some questions. And away we go. But in the meantime, let's bring in Matthew Thomas, who is a Cardiff City fan. See if we can get this technology working in our favour this time. Hi, Matthew.
Evening, gents.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Go. Crystal clear.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah.
Good. How are you? Okay.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Good.
Thanks to everyone. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, not a problem.
So, biggest question of the season. So, did we underachieve or did we overachieve?
Me personally, I think we overachieved. At the start of the season, when I went to Wigan away, I went up to Wigan and I thought this season I'd take a playoff spot. But then come October time, I was more, this looks like it's going to be like a mid-table side. We had errors throughout the team. People like Aidan Flint. For me, was a big weakness at the back, and the team was just chopping and changing all the time. There was no consistency throughout the team, I felt.
And was that the issue then? Is that why we struggled? Because Neil Warnock's normally he's consolidated his teams. His strength is to be consistent with his team selection and his belief in players. So did you see that go a little bit?
Yeah, not so much the trust in the manager. I just felt. I think some of the players got fed up with the playing style, maybe. Because it was such a low coming down from the Premier League. Being as we all just missed out on staying.
Yeah.
It could just come down to beating Crystal Palace on that last day, and we would have stayed there. But there was just a number of times of last season which continued on to this season. Don't get me wrong, most sides do struggle when they come back down to the Championship, because it is a very hard league and very demanding. But I just thought the change of face. It had to happen, really. I was gutted to see Neil Warnock go, because I was a big fan of his.
So what about when Neil Harris came in? What was your initial thoughts? Because we had our own thoughts, and I think Ismail's going to tell me it was exactly the same as ours, but everyone to their own.
Yeah, I've had a chat with Si about this, and I think we agree on the same page that it wasn't the appointment and the ambition that I felt the club should have shown. Maybe. Yeah. I was expecting a bigger character and a bigger personality to. Well, ideally pushed us on to the top 2, because it's still October time, and if we got a bit of a run going, there's no reason why. Because we did have the squad to do it. The squad was still mainly there from the Premier League. We're still missing some big characters like Camarasa and Arthur and players like that. But I was a bit disappointed with it, but you can't fault the job he's done.
I totally agree. We spoke about it obviously the few days before his first game at Charlton. Yeah, and we said about it being a sideward step. We just thought, same as you, we were excited about all the people who were available for the job. I think the Cowley brothers were available. Chris Hughton was available. Lee Boyer was apparently ready to move, and there was so much excitement. And then I played with Neil Harris. And he's a good friend of mine. But at the same time, I'm in agreement with you. I just thought that we could have gone down a different route. But then. Saying that, at half time against Charlton, I wasn't impressed at all. I remember sat watching the game, texting Si, and I couldn't wait for Monday's show. Put it that way, and some of my language was atrocious.
But you can't. It did take them a while for the team to sort of believe in what he was doing. Yeah. But when you look at the likes of Morris and the way he's been playing, especially since we come back from lockdown, he's been something else. He's just a totally different player to what he was under Warnock. Yeah. And it seems to got like the consistent team now. He knows his team. The odd change, but he knows his team, especially defensively. He's stuck to that back four and changing Sanderson for Kuna in the last couple of games. I thought was the right choice because he's more solid in that back four. I think for Kuna.
what if anything did he do during lockdown to sort out what he did? Because since lockdown, the whole team, squad, himself, his staff, they've been a revelation. So what's he done? What's he done?
I think he's just had him in. He's just kept him fit, hasn't he? I think he's up the ante more than other teams did over that lockdown period. Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors and stuff, but from the looks of things, they look very sharp going into that Leeds game and pressing. They look really sharp, and they just look like they have extra gear over other sides and much more organised. And
one thing I will agree with there. I mean, I spoke about it is how fit they came back from lockdown. I thought they looked amazing. You know, the people like Joe Rawls who'd been out with a hip injury or a knee injury, and he came back really fit. Some other lads, Lee Tomlin, they came back looking hungry, looking like they've got an appetite, and I think the Leeds game helped. Perfect timing. Beat Leeds first game from lockdown, and since then they didn't really look back, did they? They had some really positive results, and with some attacking, and some of the goals they scored were unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. When you look at Cardiff going forward, if they can keep the base of this same side now for next season, which I think they will, because clubs, I can't see clubs spending money, not big amounts of money. But then I was reading the other day about the Tan maybe looking to sell it. I don't know if that's just rumours, but they might look to offload players like Josh Murphy. But I'm one of these people that I got his back, and I'm a fan of his. Don't get me wrong, he's very inconsistent, but he's also one of the best footballers in that team, I think, for ability-wise.
One thing you've just said there, because I know Si's a big fan, because I know you gave him Player of the Week a couple of weeks ago. And what I will say and back him up is the word inconsistent. And as a winger, you're not in the game all the time. You know that you're probably in and out of the game. You drift in and out. But when you get the ball, and when he gets the ball, I watched him at Middlesbrough the second last game of the season, and he was unplayable. He absolutely ripped Middlesbrough to shreds, and he got his goal. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And if he could just bring that kind of performance level to 2-3 games on the bounce, then he'd score more goals, he'd create more chances. Cardiff would win more games, and he probably wouldn't be around very long, because he'd go to that next level. And I think it's but then if he did do that, you know, because listen, and his brother plays. Who did his brother play for? Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday, yeah.
Him and his brother, you know, I mean, very talented family. You know what I mean? To have two excellent, talented footballers like that. But you know, I mean, for Josh Murphy, I think if he can bring a little bit more consistency, like you say, next season, he could be one of the standout performances in the Championship, because he looked electric towards the end. Really impressed me. Really impressed me.
Especially in front of goal, Andy. He's just so clinical. Put him in one-on-one, he's just so calm, and he just slots it away. He's just, I think he's brilliant in front of goal. He's one of the best finishers I think we got.
One thing I am interested to hear is obviously being a Cardiff fan, he obviously grew up in Nottingham Park and watched him in Nottingham Park. So the change over to the new stadium, to the old stadium, do you obviously miss the old stadium?
Yeah, I do miss the old stadium, the atmosphere, and I think sides and players feared coming to Nottingham Park.
Totally agree.
But it's the same with most clubs now moving to these new stadiums, that it just doesn't bring the same atmosphere.
No, but I get why they do it though. I get you know what I mean, they have to do it because there's more people. It's about money, business, and I agree. You know that I've been to watch a game at the new stadium, and it wasn't the same as when there's half the people in the old stadium. You know, and it's just that stadium will forever go down in folklore for how hostile, how difficult to play it was, because it was. But as a home player, it was such a joy, because you could see the fear in people's eyes as they walked down the tunnel. It was great. It was magic.
What did you think of it then, Andy, playing in Nottingham Park?
I loved it. I loved it. It reminded me a little bit of being at Middlesbrough, Ayresome Park. That, you know, probably Nottingham Park was a lot more hostile, especially when you played certain teams, Leeds, Bristol City, obviously Swansea City, Wrexham, and things. But everything was just on top of you. I mean, the relationship we had with the fans and where you parked your car. I know that doesn't make a difference, but you had a good relationship with the fans, because everybody was, you know, it was just I just enjoyed it. It was when football was fun. You know, I don't think it's as fun now, and I don't think the fans have as good relationship or as close relationship with players as they should do or used to do, which is a shame.
It is a shame. I totally agree with you, especially for like the younger kids coming through, younger fans. Having a role model. Having a role model. How'd you have a role model if you're just getting a photo from a distance? It's not really the same. Exactly. No, I totally agree. But no, I definitely do miss Nottingham Park. I was lucky enough to have season ticket there for a number of years and to watch. I watched you play, and it was just a brilliant time to be a Cardiff City fan and having that transition of going to the Cardiff City Stadium. As you say, it happens. That's just football.
Yeah.
Of the club moving forward, that's just what happens. But no, only great memories in Nottingham Park.
Yeah,
100%. Matt, going back to this season, and next season really, we've been heavily linked with Kiefer Moore. Me and you discussed this already, but to tell the people and Andy, like as a Cardiff fan, what do you feel about that as a signing for the club if they do pull it off?
Oh, sorry. Did you want me to discuss it?
Yeah. I want you to tell everyone what you think of it.
So, if I'm truthfully honest, I haven't seen much of Kiefer Moore, only for when he plays for Wales and the odd appearance for Wigan. I just feel I don't think he brings more to the table than Gratzel does. I think if anything, Gratzel's a better finisher, and I think if we give Gratzel that time, I think he will get the goals. Kiefer Moore, he's had the quality for Wales, the supply line, like Ramsey's and the Bales, and he's just getting on the end of things. But for Wigan, has he really done much over the season? And for a club of Cardiff's ambition, which next season will be, I think, the top two. Looking at the division, it's not that strong going into next season. I think they've got to aim for that top two, if not top six. But no, I'm not a fan.
What I like about your comment there is about Gratzel, and I think I had high expectations this season because of what he'd done in Germany and the transition of coming over to Britain. It didn't work out the way that we all wanted it to, but I think next season's this season, and next season he'll have had a little break now. He'll hit the ground running straight away. And for me, I'm excited about that. But if I was going to spend £3 million on a player, I wouldn't be spending it on a centre forward because I've already got one there. Yeah, unless you're planning on selling him and getting your money back, I would use it in different areas and go from there. Because listen, I just don't think Cardiff have got that much money to spend, and if they are going to spend it, why waste it?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's other areas on the team sheet that needs improving rather than a striker.
Where?
Wing.
Yeah, they definitely. I think they need a winger, and I think they've got to go in for a right back. Whether that's alone, they might go back in for Sanderson, but a right back it's got to be key, I think. And the likes of Marlon Park, he doesn't cut it for me.
No, I'd get him. Would you have any of the kind of Welsh young players on loan? Like obviously you've got like Nico.
Nico's a very good player. I can't. Will he come to the Championship on loan, or would he go to a lower, like a bottom half Premier League side?
Brewster did it, didn't he? Obviously plays for Liverpool.
I look at him, for example. I mean, and Nico, I think he would benefit from playing 30, 40, 50 games in a season for his development. So if he was guaranteed that at Cardiff City, then for me it's a no-brainer. And it would put him in the shop window for playing for his country because of his playing in the Welsh capital. Yeah. For me, I think it ticks all the boxes for both, for the player and the club. But I don't know if there's talk there. I do agree with you that right back's key for me because Joe Bennett bombs down the left. He brings a huge amount of quality with his attacking play and his defensive qualities. But I think right back's been a problem for a while now. So they need to fill it in.
Even Lee Peltier, I didn't think he was he don't get me wrong, he put his heart on the line. He brought everything to the side, but his football ability wasn't great. Like he's not the type of player that brought the ball down and that would suit this style of play that we're currently playing under Harris, I think. Yeah,
I totally agree, and I just think it's only going to benefit the club and benefit the team because I look at the amount of changes that Cardiff City need to make, and it's minimal. I look at the changes where other teams need to make: Middlesbrough, Stoke City, Nottingham Forest, Swansea City, because you don't know what's happening with players leaving and coming and going. There's loads of changes. Bournemouth it's going to be in and out.
Yes.
Cardiff City could benefit from all these changes from other clubs, and if they can have a good solid start, then it's their season to lose, really.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Interesting to see what players come in and what players come out. Not just at Cardiff, but other sides. It's going to be very interesting to watch.
I look forward to it. I do look forward to it because I think next season could be their season. For me, minimum of a playoff place, and hopefully by midway through the season we might get fans back into the ground, and if it is a playoff place, then get the stadium rocking for playoff semi-final, and they will make a difference.
100%, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where this year the Fulham fans wouldn't have made a difference, the Cardiff fans would have made a difference for the home game. So that's where it let Cardiff down a little bit with the fans not being able to attend.
Yeah, they were brilliant in that second leg. I just couldn't fault them. Just so proud of them, like.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and I think every Cardiff City fan should be proud, because I'm the same as anybody. There's no way in the world I thought at the start of lockdown they'd be in the playoffs, even probably 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? I wanted them to. I was hoping that they'd beat Middlesbrough, beat Hull, but I'm also a realist where, you know what I mean, they're going to drop points, but they didn't. They didn't drop any points, and then they let themselves down with timing wise of a sloppy goal against Fulham, last kick of the game, and it wasn't a free kick, but that's another story.
That's football, though. Like, Fulham were the better side in that first leg.
Totally agree.
That's just football. Like,
totally
there's some very critical Cardiff fans. The side probably knows that too. There's some very, very critical Cardiff fans. But no, overall, I thought I couldn't fault them since lockdown. Honestly,
yeah, totally agree.
But honestly, really good. Because when I went up to Loftus Road when we got beat 6-1 on Boxing Day, and I couldn't believe it. I just thought this is just going to be like a mid-table side, 100%. But the way I think they lost 3 or 4 games since that game.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when we spoke about this, and we spoke about it obviously in depth after that game, and it was horrific. Yeah. Every fan who went there deserves a medal. But sometimes in a player's head, a result like that makes you switch and think, right, this is our turning point. This is, and it was, and they just need to make sure that they can't afford that many more games like that, because fans will lose patience with managers, players, and rightly so. And at the same time, you can't afford to lose that kind of goal difference, because you look what happened to Nottingham Forest. If a game like that can absolutely ruin your season.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy.
100%. Matt, who would you keep and who would you sell?
It's personal, isn't it? I'd get rid of Flint. I think Bamber I'd move to maybe like keep him within the club, but to the coaching side maybe. But I know they've just signed Marlon Pack, but I'm just not a fan of him. I think these other midfielders bring a lot more to the team than him. But I know they're not going to get rid of him. There's not many others. There's not many others I would get rid of.
So I'll put it another way. Like, who would you like to see be given more of a chance? And by that I mean not just like the odd start, but actually have a run of games. Like, for me, like the 3 which spring to mind are Glatzel, Tomlin, and Murphy. They are guys which need 5, 6, 7 games. Not start a game on the bench, because they can never get any momentum together. Who would you like to see get a chance to have a run of games next year?
Well, some people say Danny Ward, but for me, he's another one that doesn't cut it from the first minute. He's a good sub to bring on, but no, he's one that people say about that. But me personally, I'd like to see Gratzel. I'm his biggest fan, and him and Tomlin, when they link up, they are really good. They do look
fabulous.
And obviously bringing into the equation Josh Murphy. I think Hoylett, he's coming. Well, this is my personal opinion, but I know some of my friends really disagree with me. I'm not Hoylett's biggest fan. I just don't think he offers enough off the ball sometimes. His work rate just doesn't look like it's there. But he'd definitely be good to keep around the squad, I think. But I'd like to see Murphy given more chances next season. But he's got to perform consistently. Because then I do see their Cardiff fans' frustrations with him. Because it doesn't look like he's at the races 7 games, but then he can just turn the switch. He can just come on and do something really good.
But then we spoke about, haven't we, Si, about wingers, that Neil Warnock did it, Neil Harris has done it. You've got your Josh Murphys, you've got your Mendes Lang, you've got White, and I think White, when he's been on form, has been absolutely fantastic. But then he goes out the side for 5-6 games, then he comes back in, doesn't perform the way that you want him or expect him to. But then how can he expect to play as well as he can without any games? So it's difficult. It's a difficult one.
Yeah, no, I didn't understand some of the stick that was aimed at him when he came on in that Fulham game. Because he hasn't played for months. And he came on and slipped over. But what do you expect from the guy? He hasn't played any football.
Yeah.
It's a big ask for him, but yeah, he's another one that I'd like to see given a chance.
Yeah, I would. I think he's impressed me enough to see him be given 5-6 games, and then if he cuts it, great. If he doesn't, then he's been given a chance. You can't grumble if you've been given the opportunity, but if you haven't been given it, you've got a chance to.
That's exactly
to grumble
it,
a little bit.
That's what they did with Nelson, because Warnock didn't really give him that chance in the side. I remember he played him at, I think it was Reading away when we got battered, and then he took him off after like half hour, 40 minutes, I think. And then ever since then, we didn't really see much of him. But a consistent run in the team, and like look how good he is now. He's probably the first names on the team sheet with Morrison.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, it's players like White, they need that run in the team, and Murphy, they need the confidence, but then they also need the fans to back them too.
Yeah, well, you want your manager to believe in you, and you want your fans.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time a winger gets the ball, you want fans to be excited. You know, and I'll aim back to Adoma Traore. Every time Traore gets the ball, the fans are excited on the edge of the feet. And Cardiff have got the wingers to do that as well, but they need the fans to. These players are going to make mistakes. They're going to get tackled. They're going to fall over. They're going to misplace a cross, misplace a shot. But it doesn't matter because
that's football.
Yeah, exactly. It happens to the best in the world. It happens to Ronaldo. It happens to Messi. So it's going to happen to Gavin White.
Yeah, definitely, mate. No, I totally agree.
Right, okay, Matthew. Appreciate your time, my friend.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, really appreciate it. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks, Andy. I'll keep.
Cheers, Matt. Take care, son. Right.
Cheers,
top
guys.
Man. Cheers, bud.
See you soon. Okay. So, yes. So there we go. So let's talk about the playoff final, mates. Brentford did not make it, and I will say, as much as it hurts me, they were garbage. Brentford were for a final, mate. I thought they were horrendous. I got to say, I thought they were really poor.
I was so disappointed with how they just didn't turn up, and froze at the wrong time, and disappointing for them, disappointing for the manager. I can't see that team staying together. I can't see that the players want. I can't see Ben Rahman not going to the Premier League. I can't see Ollie Watkins not going to the Premier League. I can't see other players sticking around. Will the manager get a better job? That football club is all set to go to the Premier League, new stadium, and now I fear for them a little bit because they are going to massively change over a short period of time, I believe.
Yeah, I can't. I think.
But saying that, though, saying that, Scotty Parker got his tactics spot on. He got his team selection spot on.
Yeah,
he killed the game. He killed the game when he needed to kill the game. He has Mitrovic. If he's sub, he's fit, but he still kept him on the bench up until the last minute of 90 minutes and brought him on for extra time. And he made a difference. He put himself about. He didn't do a lot, but put himself about. One thing I will say, Si, and I'd love your opinion on it. First goal from, is it Craney?
Yeah. No, Brian scored.
Oh, Brian, sorry. Brian, free kick. Yes, he meant it. What was the goalkeeper doing? Why did he dive? Why did he dive after the ball went in the net?
He didn't want to look silly.
Yeah, but he's made himself look even more silly. But listen, great free kick to do what he's done and to see it. But I just think diving after it, just stand still and he's caught you out. Because
it's in that split second. So like where it's all slowed down and everything, it looks like he's dived ages afterwards, but actually he's just dived like a split second after the ball's gone past him. Look, it's a massive mistake to make in a big game. It takes guts, by the way, to go for that free kick. That was not an easy free kick, even though the keeper's miles out of position and it's a great goal. That is a massive amount of confidence and technical execution to get it inch perfect from 40 yards out. I thought it was exceptional, and I really like Brian. I think he's had a fantastic season.
Yeah, he's done great.
A little note for you, mate. Charlton. We talked about this a lot. Not this one specifically, but we've talked about owners and the EFL and the Premier League not doing enough. Charlton's takeover has been rejected by the EFL. Prospective new owner Paul Elliott.
Very interesting. Listen, it's very strange that why people keep hold of football clubs. It doesn't
disgraceful if that's true.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Bryant is not in the team of the year.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Listen, I do find it strange. Charlton are in a mess. I think from top to bottom, they're in dire straits, and especially the way that the season ended as well. It's such a shame as well, because it's a big club, huge club. But it needs sorting out, and it needs sorting out quickly, because it's just not fair.
Oh, big time, mate. It needs to be done straight away. But it's good to see that finally. Like I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I have no idea whether Paul Elliott would make a good owner or not. But it is good to see that the EFL is not just, waving through any owner. Seemingly they are trying to make sure that the right people are taking over. Mark the Boro fan, who was on at the start, Mr. Sherwood, says, question for you both: how well will Fulham do in the Premier League?
I feel really sorry for the teams who are going up, because Leeds have waited for so long for it. West Brom obviously wanted to get back there. Fulham wanted to get back there. But with what's happened and with the financial effects of lockdown and COVID-19, are they going to be able to spend and take a risk on spending the same kind of money as they have done previously in previous years? Leeds, I think, will be in a better position, but I think Fulham might struggle. And unfortunately, I think with them finishing the season a couple of days ago and then starting the season more or less straight away, it could have a massive negative effect on what's happening, because I look at Mitrovic. Mitrovic obviously is not fit side. He's obviously had a hamstring injury, so he's going to have to leave it another month, or he's going to end up being injured all season. So he's going to miss pre-season. That means then he's going to start the season probably unfit. So it's potentially going to have a knock-on effect and a negative effect. And I feel really sorry for these kind of teams, because it's a holy grail. They've worked all season for it to get where they want to be, but I just think it's circumstances could have had a really negative effect on something which is really positive, really.
Spot on, mate. Gaz says, which UK side will win the Europa League and the Champions League?
I can't see past Man United winning the Europa League. I'll be honest, I can't. You know what I mean? That Roma got knocked out yesterday.
Look at the draw they've got as well.
Yeah, Inter Milan are a danger in that. Wolves, they've still got a chance because they're in it. But I still can't see past Man United there. And Man City are a strange one, because Man City since lockdown have been amazing. So, you know what I mean? It's going to take a good side to beat them. It's going to take, especially now that they've got no pressure on them. They've been given an opportunity to stay in the Champions League next year, which they're already in. So there's no pressure on them now to go and win it, to get in the Champions League. So they've got an opportunity to beat Real Madrid tonight, I think it is, isn't it? And they're drawing 0-0.
I think if they beat Man City, I would expect them to at least get to the final.
Yeah.
I think it'll be psychologically, it's getting past Madrid for them, I do think. But I mean, if you look at the form guide in the Premier League, Man City top, which has lost one.
Man City have just scored, Si.
Have they really? There you go.
Yes, they have 1-0 up against Real Madrid.
So last 6 games, Man City lost and then won 5. Man United have won 4, drawn 2. You know, they're right up there. They're 2 ahead of everyone in goal difference and everything else. They're the form sides in Europe. Yeah. And I would expect them both to get to the final, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them, win each competition respectively. If I'm being honest, there's some quality players. When you look at some of the players that they're looking at, here's a question for you from me on the fly. We talked about him on the football show. Nathan Ake, 40 million to Man City, United, Chelsea, and I think it was someone else. They pulled out because they weren't paying 40 million for him.
Yeah.
Is he worth that, mate? For you? 40 million quid?
I don't see how he can be worth that much money after being relegated this season. And yes, it's not his fault. I do get that, but there's obviously, there's obviously got to be. Yeah, there's obviously got to be.
Playing Premier League football.
And he didn't do enough to keep them in. So, you know what I mean? In my opinion, no, I don't think he is. I don't think he is that worth that kind of money. I think it's disappointing that the transfer fees are astronomical, but at the same time that Bournemouth need to recoup a lot of money, and they're going to recoup it very quickly on just a couple of players.
Yeah, and it's whether they spend it is the other thing, isn't it, mate? Because
They've got to be careful, haven't they? Because are they going to risk it and spend it and waste it, or are they going to recoup it, put it in the bank, save it, and see how next season goes, and just take it from there? Because it's a big risk throwing all the money back into the club again.
Johnny Wish has just texted me or DM'd me on Twitter. He said he can't comment on YouTube for some reason. He says, who do we see being the top 4 in the Premier League and the Championship next year?
I don't think you can see Premier League. I don't think you can see past Man City, Liverpool.
It's difficult to win it, mate, right? Because like the one thing I would say about that, I agree with you, but then it also depends on who signs. Like Chelsea have made some very good signings already.
Yeah, totally
United
agree.
signed Sancho and maybe 1 or 2 more. They're not that far off. Like they finished 3rd, but you know Liverpool have been so far and away consistently better than everybody.
Yeah.
But if Liverpool don't strengthen, and Man City strengthen a couple, and United strengthen some like 3 or 4 quality names on top of what they've already got. Same with Chelsea. I think it'll be a lot closer next year. So whilst I do agree that I think it will be those 2, I also wouldn't be surprised to see a Chelsea or United up there if they sign the right players, because they're obviously the thing with United is they've got money where others probably haven't after COVID.
I think it's going to be the best season ever, though, because I think there's even Leicester, and there's always a surprise team as well. So is it going to be Tottenham? Is it going to be Leicester again? Are Everton going to have a push and be pushing up there? Arsenal have had a good end. Chelsea, as you say, it's endless really. There's so many good teams in the Premier League. Looking at the Championship, I would like to think that Cardiff were going to be up there. To be honest, I can't see them having a slow start with the players that they've got and the season that they finished with. But I think one of the teams who come down from the Premier League, I think will be strong. I can't see it being Bournemouth. I think I'll be honest. I think Norwich might be strong. I know they finished bottom of the league, but I think they might keep the nucleus of the players and be strong.
I think with Norwich, mates, they've got a Championship side.
Yeah, they didn't spend a lot of money in the summer.
If you remember last year, Norwich ended up walking it, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
In terms of promotion.
Yeah.
They were almost, and they were like a surprise package in many ways. No one really fancied them at the start of the season, but they just had one of those sides which you see in the Championship just ground out the results. And yeah, I think Norwich probably I'd go with. Norwich, I can't see Stoke having a similar season to this year. I just can't.
No.
Cardiff, Stoke, Blackburn, I don't think will be far off. Derby, Forest maybe, with a couple of signings. Swansea with a couple of signings.
It'll be an interesting league again.
I think Brentford will struggle. I don't think that we'll see the same Brentford side, but you just don't know. James Costley's just asked thoughts on Arsenal making staff redundant. So I know that you want to discuss this on Monday, but do you want to kind of go through it briefly now, or do you want to leave it until
I'll go through it briefly. Yeah, since James has asked nicely. I think it's absolutely revolting of what I read yesterday that they've got players. And listen, I'm not slagging Ozil off here because I'm just using him as an example.
One of the top 5 most highest paid players in the world.
Yeah, Ozil, £250,000 a week apparently. So he keeps his job, and 38 other people at Arsenal Football Club get made redundant because they can't afford to pay wages. It's just absolutely outrageous. Sell the player.
Behave.
And keep everybody there. It's outrageous that people.
Disgusting.
You know what I mean? That 1 minute we're furloughing staff, and then next minute we're making redundant. These football clubs are multi-billion pound companies and dollar companies, regardless, depending on where their owners are from. And there's nowhere in the world they can't afford to pay these kind of staff. If they can afford to buy players, so does that mean Arsenal aren't going to buy anybody in the summer because they can't afford it?
Yeah, I would imagine not, mate.
Well, so if they buy anybody in the summer, it's absolutely disgusting.
That's not even an exaggeration, by the way. The only players who are higher paid than Mehmet Özil are Bale. Who else was it? I'm doing it off the top of my head. I'm going to have a look now because I was shocked that he was still like
Ronaldo,
Ronaldo, yeah,
Messi,
highest players in the world. So someone just asked who the guest is on Monday. The guest on Monday is Mr. Stephen Constantine, he's the former Indian national coach, Rwanda national coach. He's former Millwall manager. He also managed Sudan, Malawi. He's been the Indian manager a couple of times. He's been the coach at Bournemouth. He has been around. He's won awards for his coaching and managerial performances.
He's a very, very interesting man.
Oh,
Currently lives in Cyprus, so it'll be a little bit late for him. I think he's 2 hours behind UK time. But he's fascinating, and he's very opinionated. So it'll be a great watch on Monday. Don't miss it. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's got the qualifications as well, as good as you're going to get as from a coaching and managerial point of view. He is, you can't get any better.
His CV is second to none.
Oh yeah. So, top 12 highest paid footballers in the world. Messi, Ronaldo. For God's sake, Forbes. Right, I can't find it. I think I got it. I was looking for the one I had the other day. Pogba, Özil is ahead of Pogba, ahead of Neymar. Although Neymar, I think, is slightly different because he gets a lot away from his football fees.
Yeah.
So he probably isn't. He gets paid more than Mbappe. Gets paid more than a few others. Mehmet Özil, second highest paid footballer from the Premier League.
And listen, this isn't a dig at him, but then Arsenal are setting him up to fail because of making stuff redundant.
It is a dig at him, though, mate, isn't it? But his attitude is
it's not
terrible.
Great. Yeah.
But then, if his attitude is terrible, should I then criticise Gareth Bale's attitude? No, I shouldn't, because Real Madrid have been absolute twats. So there we go. Okay. So yeah, that was the Friday night championship show. A little bit longer than usual. We had a bit of stuff to discuss, answer some questions, and of course, thanks to Mark, Gary, and Matthew for joining us and talking about their teams. And we'll have some. We'll do this again probably in a few weeks anyway, before the season starts, because I know there's a few other people who want to get involved and stuff. So I've had to start a waiting list already because we had quite the response. So yes, if you're interested, get in touch, add you to the list. But we got some special shows coming up next Friday. We got another special show with special guests, which is going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be completely different because there's no championship football or anything. So it's going to be completely different, but it'll still be football related, obviously.
Yeah.
As myself and Andy will be joined by some peeps. And in the meantime, join us 7:30 for the Andy Campbell Football Show. Big thank you to Black Diamond Sports. Big thank you to Bespoke Financial. And a big thank you to everyone who tuned in, downloaded, watched, and all the usual stuff. We appreciate your time, we appreciate your support, and we will see you on Monday for the all-new Andy Campbell Football Show. And check out all the other podcasts on the channel, including the new one, Saturday and Sunday. We are out.
Cheers, guys.
My mummy and daddy have been talking about life insurance. It sounds like something to protect my brother and me, but I don't really understand. Then my Auntie Louise told Mummy about Bespoke Financial Teesside. She said they're a local company who helped her with her life insurance. Mummy got in touch, and because they're based locally, a man called Darren was able to come to our house. He was really friendly. Darren stayed for a cup of tea and made it all really easy to understand. He said that life insurance will protect our home and family if anything bad were to happen. Like if Mummy or Daddy got sick, then we'd get enough money to take care of us, and our house would be paid for so it wouldn't get taken away. After an hour, Darren said goodbye and Mummy and Daddy seemed a lot happier. Once it was all sorted, we could all relax and watch a film together as a family. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner.
I belong to you.
I belong to you.
Do just what you want.